To understand what Realaxy is all about, you really have to have someone show you. So this is the editor, and you can see that we're editing something that looks like a class. And it has these pieces in here, like static fields, fields constructor, that are familiar terms to you, but they look like they're commented out, but they're not really. So you may be wondering what they are, and you can think of it, it's more like filling out a template than actually writing code. So say, for example, I hit enter here, and you can see it generates some of the field requirements for me. I hit red sprite. I'm just going to start working on a hello world example. I can hit enter again, green sprite, sprite. And if I just tab on down to the methods and hit enter, I can create a method called draw sprite, pass in a sprite with the type of sprite, hit enter again, color, uint, enter, width, number, enter, height, and number. I'll tab on down to the body, and I'll just say width, sprite, graphics. We will begin a fill with the color, and then we can draw a rectangle. 0, 0, width, and height. Now you can see that there's a part right here where it looks like that's bad code, but it's really not. It's just saying you can put that in there, but it's not a requirement. So once a code is generated, that will be left blank. But while you're working in the Realaxy view, it's going to show you that there are more options to set. So now that we have the draw sprite method, we'll go down to the bottom brace of it, hit enter again, generate another method, call this one move sprite, and this will pass in a sprite, tab down, sprite.x, we'll say plus equals, default it to 0, actually introduce this as a parameter, call this x offset, and sprite.y, plus equals 0, introduce that as a parameter as well, call that y offset. So we have a draw sprite method, a move sprite method, and a red sprite and a green sprite field. So let's kind of hook these together in the constructor. So hit enter there, and let's create the red sprite. I'm actually going to use something called a language extension that Realaxy provides for you called Object Builder. So I've hit Control L to add this, to import this language, which is going to add additional functionality to our language. I'll import the Object Builder. And now I can do something that's probably pretty foreign to most ActionScript developers, and that's using sprite and then 2 curly braces to actually generate or instantiate the sprite with some properties and some event handlers. So if I enter here, I can say x is 10, y is 10, on init, then we'll draw our sprite, pass in this with a color of red, since this is a red sprite, width being 100 and height being 50. And then we can say on click, we'll just move our sprite, this, and x offset, we'll say 5 and 10. Now that we've generated that sprite, might as well duplicate that code and generate our green sprite as well. We'll put this one down at 100, and definitely have to change this from red to green. And then instead of moving on click, let's set up an event listener. Let's go add event listener for enter frame. And there's a cool little closure syntax we can use that looks like this. Now within the body of this closure, we can just write green sprite.x equals mouse x, and green sprite.y equals mouse y. Now the last thing we have to do, and again you can see that use capture is still there, but it won't be generated. So the last thing we need to do is just add child, red sprite, and then add child green sprite. So we created a red sprite, created a green sprite, we drew stuff in it. On click, we're going to move it. Then on enter frame, we're going to move the green sprite to mouse X. So if we run this, it'll generate the action script, which I'll show you in a second, but it also generates the Swift. So you can see the green sprite is following the mouse, and when I click on the red sprite, it's going to move 5 over and 10 down, I think is what we set it to. So that's Realaxy in a nutshell. Just really quickly, just to show you the code that it generates. So this is more basic. This is the actual action script that it generates. It's not quite as readable, but it is proper action script. And there you go. You get to write this meta language, meta action script or meta programming to generate the code for you, so you can do things that you normally wouldn't be able to do with ActionScript.